The opening frame of the film is purposely this beautiful female face because I wanted it to be the opposite of what people think that the first frame of Mortal Kombat will be. So with that stylistically bedded down, I then wanted these fights just to be brutal and alive and powerful. Hanzo dispensed with all the assassins up the top, and Bihan's kind of waited for him down below. It's a complete setup for what happens in the final fight. There was a lot of improv between Joe and Hiro and myself. So one guy's Japanese, one guy's Chinese. So that's why when Hanzo comes down, that's why he says what he says. And that was Hiro's idea, actually. He said, what if I sort of say this, you know, what if I just explicitly say it? It was like, great. Setting these two characters up so that they could pay them off later was really the key part of what was going on here. And I think this idea came from Joe. I mean, he's an amazing guy, Joe. Just the ideas he had were incredible. There's this sort of nasty, horrible quality to Bihan and Sub-Zero where he sort of makes people sort of submit and then he kills them, you know, so that's what this is all about. And this moment here of this, what Hiro sort of said, do not forget his face. And we see how that transpires in the film towards the end when he takes the mask off and remember this face. So I think that's a really important setup and payoff, and I'm really happy with the way that turned out. Joe wanted to make sure that he walked off slowly and in control because there's a great sort of menace to that. I love the physicality of Joe. He's amazing. You know, this is day one of shooting, and this was shot in Port Adelaide. It was Tilly who plays Emily. It was her first day on any set ever. She did a great job. Here's where Jax walks through the door, and each of the characters, you know, I wanted that door opening shot. That's why we've got him coming in through the door like that, with the haze coming past him and the highlights in the background. Just wanted it to feel a little bit more special without it feeling fake, but it needed to feel like this guy really matters. The crowd noise was so full on. It was so loud. I just thought, oh, someone's feeding crowd sound through the speakers, but it was them. It was just so loud. And then, so this is sort of Lewis. We sort of get to see his fight capabilities here, and he's fighting against Ramirez, who is played by Ian Streets, who are a fantastic fighter. What a great guy. Like, all these guys who fight, you know, do all this stuff for a living, they're the most delightful, elegant people. He's such a gentleman, Ian. It's amazing, you know. He goes in there, they wrestle around and they beat the shit out of each other, and then like, how was that? Was that okay? Oh, great. You know, that's amazing. They're fantastic guys. It took a bit of working out. Like, I'm no MMA expert at all, so I sort of really needed Lewis and Ian and Chan to work out what was authentic. Again, everything was just about, like, just make it feel real, make it feel like this is a real thing. And there you go. That's the original MMA fight. This sort of brings the kunai story to its full conclusion here.
Get over here!
We've done a lot of work on the get over here line. It's Hiro saying it, but we needed it to have the sort of audio blueprint of what the game was. This was one of the fights that grew and grew, because we all knew how important it was to the whole story and to the whole film and to really the Mortal Kombat canon. And then I wanted this shot where the profile shot of the two of them facing each other. Every now and again in the film, there's a couple of shots that feel a bit like the game, where you see your fighters on each side of an arena. So this shot here was specifically designed to do that very task. And then the stamp on the foot and through builds the ice wall, throws him through again. That's sort of from the game. And here's our callback to the original fight. And this is where Scorpion comes through, and a lot of this stuff was brought about by, again, Joe, Lewis, and Hiro working together with the stunt guys and sort of working the emotional and the performance aspect of the characters. Joe wanted this idea that as the fight goes on, he just sort of starts stripping away stuff. And certainly visually, he becomes very black in the way his costume is and starts to become that. And in that you can see where the skull idea sort of comes through, sort of a logical way of why would we all of a sudden see a skull. Finally, Sub-Zero becomes charred and blackened and falls to the ground. It was me going, oh shit, hey, Nikki and Jody, who's the makeup, can you, do you reckon you could make Joe seem like he's just been charred? And you've got about half an hour. A lot of work, a lot of thought and a lot of planning went into that fight.
Damn, your breath stinks.
We set up that Raiko beats the shit out of Jax with the hammer, throws him over the edge of the fight pit. So there's a score to settle there. And then we see Jax's arms sort of really in all their glory, and that was really important. And you know, ultimately I wanted a bit more, but there's only so much screen time. There's only so much time in the film to tell so much stuff. So the head splat was something we knew was going to be in there from the get-go, and it's a tricky thing. We had a whole prosthetic head built of Raiko. We exploded several of them. There were about 3 or 4 of them. We exploded in high-speed cameras. We did all this stuff. And in the end, what it ended up being is a sort of a hybrid of the two. What I love about this last shot is when you see Jax sort of seeing what his arms do, how powerful they are, and they're covered in blood, and he says, yeah, these motherfuckers work. So I think, you know, it's just pure joy of the game right there.
Yeah, these motherfuckers work.
One of the other fights here is Cabal versus Liu Kang. This is all in camera, this is all real. This is all the fire on the walls is piped in fire. Naaman built a pit for Cabal to land in. But that was water. Had to be water, it couldn't be anything else. And there was this little pieces of plastic rubber that floats on the surface. So that's what gives it that kind of weird look. And then we ended up slowing down some of the footage of it where you see it sloshing around. It was too quick. It looked like bits of rubber on water. So we actually slowed that down in VFX, and it just gives it a slightly strange feeling. So then, yeah, Liu Kang builds this fire dragon. It's quite accurate to what's in the game, this particular one. And so this was one of those instances where I said, this one can look pretty much like the game, but what we're doing is we're making it real fire. So that's where the leap happens. The visual leap happens because, all right, it's like the blueprint's the same, but now it's actually real. So it's a combination of VFX fire. Obviously, the dragon's not real, but then there's a lot of real fire on Cabal.